Today we are going to clear up some marketing bullshit. Now, everybody is seen on shop vacs and air compressors. They have a horsepower rating on them. 6 horsepower. I'm going to explain to you why this is complete bullshit and not even possible. Electrical horsepower ratings are measured in watts. So there's 747 watts. Oh, you can't even see that. Anyway, there's 747 watts in a horsepower. So, and the circuit breakers in your house are wired 120 volts, 15 amps. So, in order to figure out watts, you times voltage times amps will equal watts. So, if this compressor here is claiming it has 6 horsepower, that's 6 times 747, that's almost 4,500 watts. So you take 4,500 and divide it by 120, and you get 37.5 amps. So how do you get 37.5 amps out of a 15 amp circuit breaker? Well, you can't. Alright, here's a quick write-up of what I was just explaining. 747 watts, focus, equals 1 horsepower. Claims it has 6 horsepower, that's 4,500 watts. Watts divided by voltage equals amps, 37.5 amps. Well, like I said previously, not possible. So we're going to take this meter here. This is a kilowatt, measures watts, amps, volts, frequency, power factors, all that good stuff. We're going to plug this in to the air compressor and see what the actual wattage is, and then after that I will explain to you how they come up with that mythical number of 6 horsepower. I'm gonna unplug the microphone for this because it's gonna be loud, but I will hold this up so we can see what the wattage draw on it is. So we saw that there was 1,600 watts being drawn on there. So we'll write that down. Now, using the formula to figure out amperage, we'll divide that by 120 volts. And we get 13.3 amps. So how do they come up with this 6 horsepower rating? Well, in these engines there's capacitors that store energy and provide a boost when needed, incrementally, and this happens in about a fraction of a second. So the claim of 6 horsepower, that's on startup. As soon as just to get the motor turning, 6 horsepower. Now it achieves that, like I said, by energy stored in capacitors in the motor. So this 6 horsepower, that's for a thousandth of a second, hundredth of a second, whatever it is. That's like saying a car company says, well, our car has 1,000 horsepower on startup. Well, when you're cranking the engine over, yeah, sure, it'll have 1,000 horsepower, but when you're driving down the road, it has 122. So, you know, what fucking good does that do you to have 1,000 horsepower on startup when you're driving down the road and you got 120? So that's just a bunch of marketing bullshit to inflate the power rating on the air compressors. Now, you say, why would they want to do that? Well, The higher the horsepower, the bigger the piston they can put in there, and the higher the pressure the compressor can run. So when you see ratings like this, 6 horsepower, 3 horsepower, it's all horse shit. The most you can get out of a 15 amp outlet, here you go. Here's the truth. 15 amp breaker, 120 volts, that's 1800 watts. Divided by 747 per horsepower, you get 2.4. Now realistically, you can't get 2.4 because once it approaches 15 amps, it's gonna pop the breaker. Maybe for a split second you could draw 15, but as far as sustained power draw, never gonna happen. So when you come across something that claims it has 3 horsepower, 4, 5, 6, this is the most you can get. In an ideal condition, this really isn't even achievable here, the 2.4. So just keep that in mind when you're comparing products that have horsepower ratings. Thanks for watching.